Within the world of Monster Hunter, humans are often the ones shown tracking, capturing, and slaying creatures many times their size and strength just to survive. A task that would make many question how they manage to persist when stacked against such odds. So it should come as no surprise that they rarely do this alone. For example, it is extremely common to see a hunter receiving assistance from one or more cat-like beings called pelicos. These are a type of Linian that have chosen to fight beside hunters in their efforts to bring down dangerous meowsters. But the allies of humanity don't stop there, because there's a race of people that may seem human at a glance, but couldn't be more different. Today we'll be discussing the mysteries and culture surrounding the sage-like race of Monster Hunter, the Wyverians. So what makes the Wyverians so different from humanity? If someone were to see a human and Wyverian standing next to each other at a distance, they'd be forgiven for thinking that they're the same, as their physiology does share a shocking amount of similarities with that of humanity. But the closer you get, the more obvious these differences become. Wyverians often possess pointed ears, forefingers on their hands, as well as digitigrade legs instead of the flat plantigrade limbs that humans have. While these differences alone would help to distinguish them from humanity, the unique qualities of being a Wyverian doesn't stop there. Take size, for example. Most humans are somewhere between 5 and 6 feet of height, with anything above 6 feet being considered taller than average and anything below 5 feet being considered shorter than average. However, the differences in size and height between Wyverians can go from small and petite to absolutely gigantic. Despite these massive differences in size, they are all indeed Wyverians. Their height and build can simply fluctuate on a much broader spectrum than that of humans. Not only that, but Wyverians are capable of living for multiple centuries when compared to a human's average life expectancy. They can live for so long that they can tell a human that they met and spoke with their great-great-grandmother and be entirely honest about it. So while the Wyverians might look or even sound like humans at a glance, in reality they're in a class all their own, coming in a greater variety of shapes and sizes while living longer and possessing very distinct physical traits. But if those are the physical differences, what about the Wyverians as a people? What sets them apart from one another on a cultural level? Since a Wyverian can live many times longer than the average person, their culture and way of living moves much slower as a result. This even affects their offspring, as Wyverian procreation is many times slower than that of humanity, which is why they are very often outpopulated by them. Even so, whereas a human in their youth is often prone to impulse and acts of radical choice, a young Wyverian will often take their time to travel the world and experience new things, never feeling as if they're in any rush to go through life. This has led many of them to try and live long and peaceful lives, avoiding unnecessary conflict where they can so that their gift of longevity isn't wasted. With this added time spent on things like education, philosophy, and reflection, it becomes plain as to why many Wyverians carry themselves with a much higher degree of maturity and rationale when compared to the average human. This has led many people to see the Wyverians as a very relaxed and almost sage-like group of individuals, since many of them handle problems with a very calm and calculating mind. But of course, this is not always the case, because Wyverians that work very closely with humans will often adapt to their more energetic lifestyle just to keep up with them. But if humanity and Wyverians are so different, why work together in the first place? Simple, because the Wyverians themselves treat humanity like they would a younger sibling. Instead of frowning upon or chastising humanity for their reckless actions all the time, you'll often find Wyverians at the heart of many expeditions, politics, and mentoring roles, using their long lives and decades more experience to teach and inform, rather than talk down to those younger than them. And if history is accurate, it's often said that the first original hunters were actually Wyverians. This is likely because their people are known to have a much more intimate connection to nature and wildlife. It's said that they used these talents to perfect the first hunting techniques. But when they saw humanity's potential to track and even slay monsters, they nurtured this talent instead of condemning it, thus creating dozens of capable hunters with every new generation that only improved with time. As such, the Wyverians often take their role as teachers and advisors very seriously, which is why it's so easy to find them surrounded by books and research notes when visiting a hunter's base. After all, their knowledge will not only support this group of hunters, but likely their children and even their children's children, as becoming close allies with a Wyverian can result in a family friend that lasts for generations. But how did they come into existence? For the most part, this is a mystery even to the Wyverians themselves. Despite their long lives and good memories, the records and true origins of their people was largely lost to time and the destruction of their greatest civilizations. Like humanity, the Wyverians are often spread out across the world and possess very different cultures depending on where you find them, which naturally leads to different theories as to their origin and beliefs. However, what many seem to agree upon is that their physical traits combined with their long lives suggests some form of wyvern-connected ancestry, hence the name Wyverian. Indeed, that would mean that the blood of their people at some point can be connected to the very monsters that they and humanity hunt to this very day. But how and to what extent, few can say, and even fewer could suggest with confidence. All we can say for certain is that both the Wyverians and humanity existed during the events known as the peak of ancient civilization around 1,000 years ago, with what is assumed to be the greatest capital of their culture, the now ruins of Wyveria. But more relics of this ancient culture still exist throughout the world. Places like the Sky Corridor, the Cloud Viewing Fortress, and a massive monolith called the Tower. But the rise and eventual fall of the ancient civilization should be left for another lecture. Suffice to say, the Wyverians have worked hand in hand with humanity and other races for centuries and likely will continue to do so. While much of their history and culture has been lost to the wild and untamed nature of this world, the Wyverians are determined to keep moving forward in spite of the loss, using their wisdom and experience to hopefully guide other races away from the actions and choices that might see them meet an early demise. If a newer and grander civilization is to eventually emerge from the ashes of the once powerful ancient society, it will likely be done with the gentle guidance and observations of the Wyverians. Thank you all for watching to the end. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe and share with your friends. But before I go, I'd like to acknowledge my biggest contributors. A grand thank you to Amina Voltaria, Nare, and Potato. Links to things like my channel Discord, social media, and connections to my channel artist Caddy can be found down in the description below. Thank you all once again for your viewership, and I hope you have a wonderful day.